You got your mic there.
We should move
There we
the
go.
mic stand out of the way, huh?
Yes.
It's in the camera angle.
There we go.
We did one interview and I introduced a little fuzzy thing. I said, "This is Mike," and they went, "Who's Mike?"
We're live. This is Ian.
Hey, and this is Jeff here from the Auto Hub show at the Driving Sales Executive Summit 2022 here in the palatial Bellagio.
So it's great to see you in person, of course, as always. If you could tell us a little bit more about Fuse and your experience so far at driving sales.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. It's great to be here in Las Vegas. Well, I'm not sure it's great to be in Las Vegas, but it's still a really good place for a convention.
Yeah.
So driving sales, I think, kicked off in a really relevant way with Jared and then Rory from Harvard Business School talking about the different types of disruption. And we're certainly in an industry that is in the midst of disruption and ripe for disruption. I think that, dealers are now looking at a couple of things that feel like existential crises in terms of the agency model, in terms of, the OEMs wanting a different relationship. So, we're just starting. We're a few hours in, but I think Jared teed it up very nicely as to what the industry needs to be focused on right now.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. We had a show on Monday with the OEM versus the dealer, and it was a pretty hot topic. We had a lot of comments, but we're also doing a show tomorrow. If you're in Vegas, definitely join us live at 8 a.m. West. We're going to have our Factors the Future at Automotive, which should be a very hot show as well. But yeah, very, very timely. Go ahead, Jeff.
For sure.
Well, that's the thing, and actually, it was very interesting because we're hearing comments that there's so much un-automotive at this automotive seminar because disruption and everything else. And Ray, I'll put you on the spot. And what's your take on this whole thing?
I think it's, to my perspective, having gone to these for many years, is that it's relevant information. We've been hearing the same stuff about leads and certain things like that for years. And I think it's not that those aren't important or not, the topics that we've talked about over the years aren't important, but I think it's time that we start talking about something new.
Well, it's very funny. I'm sorry, I know you're going to say something. It's very funny. One of the topics that we keep hearing is we got all this great stuff. What are you doing with it?
Right.
We talked to the VinQ people a little bit earlier today, and one topic is so many dealers are saying, contact me. We'll buy your car. We'll do this. And then once they get it, it's crickets. And, disruption's a very important thing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we were talking about that. It was interesting because I'm currently trying to sell my car, and there's such a disconnect between the dealership websites and myself, but more importantly, even people I know, they're like, "Oh, we really can't give you a number." I'm like, "Dude, I'm 3 blocks away." Well, you'd have to bring it by. Really? You really don't know enough about buying cars when you need them, and you can give me a price?
Right.
Well, see, the thing is, that as a dealer, we've been in business for 50 years, bought tens of thousands of cars. Oh, there's no way I could get close on a price on yours until
without seeing it
inspected. And so, it kind of defies logic. And I think that this really gives us some insight into the processes that have to start to change now.
Yep.
Because it used to be the mantra of every dealership manager is just get them in, just get them in, just get them in. Okay, we're done with that. Don't just get them in. Just give them some information.
It's funny. I was thinking of this the other day, that there's a company that nobody knows about, and they're the manufacturer of the flux and capacitator. And if you're a fan of Back to the Future or capacitator, what's happened is they're clicking on the website and back to 1988. Well, pal, just bring her in, right?
That's like dealer websites.
I'll tell you what,
exactly.
I'm going to introduce you to my manager. He's real good at putting.
Oh, exactly.
Together. Come on in, you'll like him.
Oh yeah. And then what does it come? And actually, our friend Larry Feldman, we were just talking about that with Jared a minute ago, comes over. This is my manager. The manager's going, how do I get out of here? Write them up.
Don't make me talk to them.
Exactly.
So in spite of our little joking around, I'm a fan of the franchise car dealer. The model is set up to serve customers. And, some of these cliches are easy.
Yeah.
They're easy targets. There's a whole group of dealers out there, though, that are, I think, inspiring right now, that are trying different business models, that are taking the friction out of the sale, and they're prospering. And I think that one of the things we're going to see is that when this artificial shortage is behind us, when we get back to kind of regular business, where we have plenty of inventory, we're going to see some dealers kind of sprint ahead that have put these new business models into place.
What was interesting, I listen to a show quite often on Fridays from David Long called All Things Used Cars.
Yeah.
And they were talking last Friday. It's at the crushingly early hour for me at 6 a.m. on Fridays, but for people on the East Coast, it's 9 a.m. Just not to worry. But the thing that was interesting about it was they were talking about that correlation between not giving a number and buying cars at scale from, say, a buy center operation.
Sure.
And what they were finding was that dealerships that didn't give any numbers at all were just losing those customers.
Yeah,
because
totally.
the customer's like, well, the guy down the street or the gal down the street's giving me a number. You're telling me I got to come in. I'm not coming in. And if they're younger, not to say anything derogatory about young or older customers, the younger people are getting less patience for that.
Right.
Like, hey, I can buy something on Netflix or I can buy something on Amazon, but at your dealership, I got to come in to do it? Like, why
Right.
is that?
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, to me, this sounds like the easiest way to get yourself off the shopping list as a
Right.
consumer.
No, it's 100%. And what you were saying just now, to me, that's spilling over into all the facets of a car shopper, right? I mean, giving customers the payments that are consistent throughout their journey and giving them the info that they're looking for to draw them to you is really the way to go. And I think one of the things I'm excited about Fuse, not to plug it, but I'm going to plug it, is that it does that. We build the payment engine to put the same consistent payments out and bring that customer in, and it's providing the transparency that they're looking for, not just in the used vehicle values, but in, you know, in the purchase of the car as well, or throughout the journey, and getting the customer in and then giving them that process where they're collaborating with you on a purchase, be it through Fuse or whatever system. I think that's what customers are looking
it's
for
through
today.
Fuse.
Yeah,
It's
but
through
don't
Fuse.
make no
It's through
mistake,
Fuse.
through Fuse only. But
Yeah. Well, you know, right now, and I've been in the business a long time, and
yes, right.
it's a secret. I'll stop. The first one's a 3, and I started when I was 6. But as long as I've been in this business, we're talking about, we're doing this better. Here's how we do it better. And we go up to people right from there. Good afternoon. My name's Jeff, and your name is, what brings you to XYZ
Oh
Motors?
my God, I was taught by the same person.
Exactly. And but guess what? It's still,
I
how you
used to work
doing,
at that
buddy?
store.
I did
Yeah,
too.
it's-
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Are you looking for product information, payments, or a little bit of both?
Yeah,
Exactly. You know.
How can I help
And
you?
if I
Lucky
could,
one, Bob or Betty, who gets the new car.
that's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And if I can get this to work for you, you'd be buying that new car today, wouldn't you? On the hinge.
If I could, would
But
you?
so we've been talking about this for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
We're still seeing that people are doing what we were taught against back then.
Yeah.
And what scares me about this business, because we're all seeing this great stuff. You guys are preaching something really good. Jared's preaching something really good.
Yeah.
David Long's preaching something really good. But a lot of these people that I'm seeing that are great preaching, doing it well, are all of a sudden creating businesses where they're leaving the car business, the retail business. So I'm afraid that we're going to leave it to the crazy people. What do you think?
It's a good question. I don't know. I'd like
How
to
do you
think that,
determine which ones are the crazy people?
right?
and
The
which
crazy
are
ones
the
could be
normal
going to
people
start the new
in
stuff.
the car business.
I don't
How
know.
do you define that, Jeff?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Who's
Need
got a
more
bigger
info.
boat?
Well, yeah.
Who's
Yeah,
and on Friday night, who's at work and who's not?
that's a good,
Okay, so
good point.
I'm going to take you down a little tangent here. It's there's always, with any economic situation, there's always externalities. One of the externalities of the inventory shortage, chip shortage, high demand, low supply, is it's probably a very good season for jet salespeople right now.
I know. Well,
Much
you know,
like
at
the RVs.
NADA, they actually had
Right.
Cirrus airplanes were at
Right.
NADA. Did you see
I
them?
saw those.
No,
Yeah,
but I think a
that's
lot.
when
I
you know.
think a lot of dealers have, had a windfall over the last couple of years. I see many of them. Well, I see some of them investing in some toys. Good for them. But
Yeah.
reinvesting in their businesses also. The acquisitions and merger market is
It's
red
hot. Yeah.
right now. There's dealers that are building new stores in spite of the fact that we're talking about direct sales, we're talking about online sales. And I think that's something that's really interesting to me right now, because I know some very savvy operators that are investing in bricks and mortar. And it makes me think of what Apple did some time ago, which was an initial investment of $70 billion to build 510 retail stores. And what I would maintain
70
is
B.
that there is not an easier item to sell online without a store than an iPhone. But here's what Apple discovered. Here's why they hired the CEO of Burberry, the fashion house, to run retail. Here's what they found out is that this is where emotion is created and brands are built and trust is built, is in that retail store and that retail experience where it's really a palace, a temple to the brand. And you have all these kind of smart, kind of regular people there to help you with the product. And I think there's a lesson here for car dealers too. If I'm going to go to an Apple store to get something that kind of needs no explanation, I know how to use my phone. Why wouldn't I want to go to a car dealership and have this experience? See all the cars.
Yeah.
Maybe test drive one.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. I mean, they recently launched a Lucid Experience Center store downtown in one of the malls, actually right next to the new Apple gargantuan store. And it's funny because when you look at that experience versus, for example, a Tesla store, to pick another operation, and actually I saw Rivian in the wild today at the hotel, which was kind of funny. I was talking to that over. At the end of the day, it's really about people and customers, and that's the thing that's really surprising to me from a change point of view. It's about that customer experience and about the customer at the end of the day. It isn't so much about what the OEM thinks or what the dealer thinks or what the technology companies think, even not to say that any of them are bad actors. It's what does that customer prefer? But more importantly, what's the best way to make it easier for that customer to buy your product than any other product? And to me, that's all about service and people. And retail is a great example of that. When I look at brands like Nordstrom's, for example, or Apple, or even Amazon as an online retailer who's now getting into traditional retail, heaven forbid, they're all basically saying, listen, it's about the customer. I mean, when you look at Nordstrom's versus any other big retailer like Sears, for example, why are they still here when Sears is not so much?
Right.
Yeah, not for long.
Yeah, because it's about customers. You can have a huge footprint, but if you don't care about who's walking in or you don't treat them well, you don't have a business.
Well, it's interesting that you say that too, because when we talk to dealers and GMs every day, they're either into what we're talking about and they're getting the concept of it, or they're saying, we don't have a problem right now. Everything's selling more than we've ever sold it before. You know, we don't have a problem that we need to fix. Customers are happy with our process, and you beg to differ sometimes, but you got to let it go. I mean, you're not going to correct their thinking a lot of times. You just say, all right, well, I'll be back when the market changes and we'll have another discussion then, right? But I think it's challenging. I mean, they're not feeling any pain at the moment, but we can already see the shift. You can feel it in the air. You could see it in the inventory starting to come. I mean, I was at a dealership the other day. For the first time ever, I saw a truck delivering vehicles. I mean, and it 3 years, I think. I mean, come on, I go, what is that? It was kind of weird. What is happening?
We're finding certain brands are starting to get cars, like the Chrysler, the Stellantis brands.
Yeah,
they're getting product.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's some of the old body style Rams, but that's okay. They're getting product and they're starting to advertise, etc. And other people are sitting there going, I don't got none. Nah, I don't got one.
Well,
Yeah.
I was at this was a really funny story. So I was at my local Lamborghini dealer. They had a car.
Were you going for the red one?
They have a car you can't buy even if you had money, because there isn't any.
Right.
For $3.4 million. And then the wait time for a new one used to be 2 years. It's 4 years. So
Yeah.
I said to the salesman, I said, okay, so even if I won the lotto, I'm waiting 4 years for a car. He said, yeah. I said, what's it going to be that I get in 4 years? He goes, what do you mean?
A Lamborghini, silly.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that
Silly.
going to be in 4 years? That's the question, right? So
Something you probably don't want by then, right?
And then what you do is you get sold in the car, you go online and you see a used operator that's got a current model year with 22 miles on it for 270,000 over sticker.
Yeah.
And somebody's buying it. That's, that's what's scary, right?
And I think we have to separate out luxury goods, because the same thing is happening with Rolex watches and other things right now, where there's shortages of them. But if we get back into kind of the mainstream car business, the people that are selling Chevrolet Equinoxes and Toyota 4Runners and those type of customers, I'm reminded of something that when I was in the retail business, the owner that I worked for told me, because we had a couple of really good years, and he congratulated the management team. And then he said, just remember, the tide is high and the tide will go down again, and there's still rocks.
Yeah.
So don't get lazy, don't get sloppy. And it happens every time. It happens to the best of us, but there are some dealers that are probably a little sloppier than others right now, because it has been little bit easier with the low supply.
Right.
And so I think that, we'll see kind of a new rigor come back into dealership operations as inventory comes down.
Well, here's you're right there. And the scary part isn't the Lamborghinis and stuff. And I have to say, in Canada, the federal government just instituted a 2% tax on luxury cars over $100,000. So it's 2% or 20%.
Well, it's over the normal tax rate.
It's over any
so
normal
it's
tax.
more expensive.
However,
Wow.
this is dwindled down or whatever you call it to Mitsubishi dealers for RVRs
Oh,
at $2,000 and $3,000 over MSRP and $2,000 and $3,000 fees. So this is trickle down. That's the word, trickle down. This is where we're asking for trouble, because 2 years ago, Mitsubishi dealers were going, please buy a new car. No, buy a used car because I can make money, but please
Yeah.
buy a new car.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now they're going,
my 6 Mitsubishi.
they're going, yeah, sorry, pal, that's it. And I hate to say it, pal, it seems to be the good word again.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to lead change, and hopefully stuff like this is leading change.
Well, if you think about the rate of turnover with salespeople, right, in dealerships, we've had 3 years. The rate slowed maybe a little, but it's still a high rate of turnover. These salespeople don't have the same salesmanship that they had before all of this happened, right? So when things turn back to the way they've been, and maybe they'll never go back fully, but I think we're going to go back. I mean, the OEMs always produce cars and they always overproduce, even though you think they've learned a lesson, they don't always learn a lesson. No offense, OEMs, but it's true. Where's the salesmanship going to be, right? I mean, and if they're not improving their customer process, there's going to be a world of hurt in a lot of stores.
Yeah. But I think everybody's got to, again, it trickles down.
Yeah.
If the ownership has an opinion, the management has an opinion, the salespeople have the same opinion.
Yeah.
And we can say that good, bad, or awful.
True.
And it's very true. We have a good friend of the show, Bill Camastro from Gold Coast Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talked to us many a time because they're riding the wave like never before.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
And he makes no bones about it. If we got an Escalade, we're going to get all we can for it, and somebody will pay it.
Yeah.
Very politely.
Yeah.
And from a guy from the Jersey Shore, that's pretty good. But he also says he worries what happens when things change.
Exactly.
And he is working with his sales staff. And he's an award-winning dealer year after year after year. He's worked with his sales staff so that they understand that when things change, that they can't do what they're doing. They have to give everybody the experience today
Right.
that they're going to give them in 2 or
Exactly.
3 years.
Exactly.
And that's the
Can't just
people
show
that
them the
win.
order pad.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Which
Just taking orders
probably is
won't work.
happening someplace.
In fact, even
In a
some
lot.
places, did you hear about the Chevy dealer somewhere down in the southwestern U.S. was making people sign a order form for a Z06 Corvette, the new one.
I saw that
And
on
it was
LinkedIn.
90,000, right on there, 90,000 over MSRP. They had to put a $6,000 non-refundable deposit, no matter what, down. Well, it got all the way up to, I think, a lady named Mary, and all of a sudden they apologized and they stopped doing it.
Hmm.
It just gives us a bad view.
Yeah,
And why,
totally.
why do people hate car dealers again?
Because we're too nice.
Right.
Oh, we're so nice.
No, and see, that is what causes these high category negatives, where if you don't know anything else, you go, probably can't trust a car dealer. When there's thousands of car dealers that are playing it straight, that are delivering great value and a great experience, it's these few exceptions that make the
Right.
news, and therein lies the rub.
Didn't
Don't we
the
have
Jackson
that-
5
don't we
have
that,
something
like
like that? One bad apple?
Don't
Yeah.
we have that like every year on the local news station?
Oh,
We
yeah.
go to a used car dealer and go, oh yeah, let's get this guy on secret camera to talk about how they do things here.
So, no,
Exactly.
we get picked on. And by
Oh,
the way,
big
Jeff,
time.
we don't need any of your Jackson 5.
Oh, but I mean, we can take it. There we go. I think that the sad thing to me is that dealers often mistake customer experience with lack of profitability. It doesn't have to be that way at all. And that's
Ask
the
Apple.
unfortunate thing.
Ask Apple.
Exactly. I mean, that's
There was
exactly
a reason.
right.
I don't have an Apple phone anymore just because I wanted to change. But the best thing about Apple is you go in and somebody wearing a nice little t-shirt says, all these words you can't understand, right? I will just have to do that, change the algorithm, read it in here, do this and there. It's fixed. It's great. And by the way, there's no charge. We have to make the car dealership experience that way. When you go into this Lucid, and I went in this Lucid. Now, this is, if you haven't seen this car,
Yeah, it's
It's
good looking car.
die for
Yeah,
it.
it's
very cool
unbelievable.
car.
But this fresh-faced young guy can't buy one. I mean, they're got 12
Sure.
years of order banks. He went through this car, and I told him I'm not buying. He said, I don't care. Let me tell you about it.
Sure.
And he knew everything there was.
Yeah.
And that's,
It was fun.
oh, but the car's to die for it. Out Bentley's a Bentley, and out Lamborghini's a Lamborghini. But we won't
Right.
talk about Lucid.
Yeah, it was interesting with Lucid because I went on a test drive in one, and initially when they opened the store, all they had was a pre-production prototype, which, by the way, won Car Driver 10 best without having production. Not to say that that's harsh on Car Driver by any stretch. But I went on this test drive with a friend of mine, and every model of that car, the front seats don't match the back seats in color. So I was like, okay, so did you run out of gray fabric? He's like, oh no, that's the design element of our.
No, they don't. Different color.
Really?
It's very interesting. Yeah.
Huh.
Ian,
I've seen
I'm surprised that you don't
Get
understand
that?
this. Different
Yeah.
colors in the back seat.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
It's
you do know
happening
why.
Can you
everywhere
pay
now.
extra to have the same
I
color?
have no idea. Oh, by the way, they also have sustainable leather, which I'm
Oh.
not really sure what that means.
Is it vegan leather?
Is that real leather?
It's real leather because, you know, the
But
big
like
thing.
you can put it back on a cow when you're done, or
Well, I don't know if the cow wants it, but you know, if you think about it, all the big thing with all the electric cars is
Yes.
this vegan leather.
yeah.
Pleather.
I don't know what that is.
I think I never forget Mercedes MB Tex.
Yeah. Well,
It's called vinyl, yeah.
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 Sorry, I apologize for that. But like I say, the car, you get in that car, the aroma's amazing, the comfort's amazing, but the experience is amazing, and
I
that's
think it's
rather.
just massage seats. That's what.
I think that probably
Yeah.
is.
Well, it's all massage seats for
Yeah,
the
but
driver
that's right.
passenger until they crash the car.
That's right. And you see,
You
this
put
is
them
why
asleep.
we didn't do an ambush interview, because we know we'd all be talking for
Yeah.
hours.
Right.
By the way, this is Alan and Ray from Fuse, because I know I
Hi.
didn't do the intro. It was my job, wasn't Ian's job.
Mhm.
I thank both of you so much. We thank both of you so much
Thank
for being
you.
here. What a lot of fun talking to
It was
you
great
guys.
fun.
It really
Thanks
is.
so much.
Good to see
Always
you.
good
We'll
to
see
see
you
you.
some more again. So,
Yes. Thanks.
Alrighty.
Thanks,
too.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.